I don't know if your mic picked up on that because it was like, ho ho.
Surely I'm not peeking it. Surely I'm not ruining anyone's ears right now.
Surely not. And then the best way to get people introduced to a podcast is to start with like a shrill laugh.
just screaming in their ears. I mean, how else to make an introduction? Welcome back to Nobody Leaves, a podcast where nobody's allowed to leave and nobody's allowed out, and we're all trapped. My name's Mallory, aka, but you can call me Queen. Ha ha ha. And this is my peon.
My name is Sam, but you can call me San.
That's actually a good idea. You can call him that.
There you go.
Flashbacks to our Undertale video.
I now have. He's in both. He's in both. This is my official Deltarune cosplay.
Yes. Oh wow, that's amazing. There you are.
Although it's too hot, so I'm gonna take it off.
Yeah, I'm glad we're both putting like equal kind of amounts of effort into this.
I think so. Yeah, no, I would say so.
The visual aspect.
I didn't finish this game like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, it's important. I think like a lot of podcasts really neglect the visual element. I would argue it's the most important aspect of a podcast is that the eye candy.
If you're tuning into this episode via YouTube Music or when we inevitably put this podcast on like Spotify and whatnot, let me tell you, visual episode for sure.
Visual episode. I mean, you're going to be able to watch and enjoy the episode without necessarily needing to see anything, but I mean, check the thumbnails or something. You gotta be looking at my get up today. I put a lot of effort into this. This time is the most effort I've put into any cosplay for this show, which has mostly just been random clothes lying around. Yes, one of my favorite characters, but we're not here to talk about that now. We gotta wind up with a little intro. We can't just go straight into Deltarune. We gotta give you a little update on how we've been doing, on what's going on in our worlds. Sam, what you been into?
Well, I've been hosting Friends for the past week, so I've done literally nothing in terms of media. I had some friends over. I did some hiking, did some outdoorsy stuff, touched the grass, that sort of thing. So my media consumption has been real low, which is fine. I'm still riding the high of Andor and slowly working my way through The Last of Us Part 2. Or Season 2. But then the rest of my time, my free time, was spent playing Deltarune's Chapter 1 and 2. Although I do have a story. And we're back. Welcome back to the Star Wars podcast. We're back to Star Wars somehow.
Amazing. I actually kind of wanted to talk about Star Wars as well, so I think that this is good. I like this.
Well, one of my friends who I was hosting, I'm actually storing some of his childhood belongings in my attic. Mm-hmm. And so that got a conversation going about like, what are all these old train sets and toys and pieces of clothing worth? Like we started talking about like, let's take our childhood and sell it piece by piece, hypothetically. And then I thought to myself, I've got a closet full of Star Wars Legos that I basically haven't touched in 15 years. I wonder if any of that's worth any money. I'm broke. I could use some money.
Yes.
This has started a saga that has taken over my entire week. So I've been Googling minifigure prices. I made a Bricklink account. I'm watching YouTube channels about it. I am becoming my worst enemy, and it is slowly destroying me. And yes, before you ask, I have bought new Lego sets as a result of this. Plural.
Okay, what is the how like spending versus how much you've made off of selling these Lego sets? Like where
I am negative $100 for sure.
This is amazing. Okay.
However, in the hypothetical market, I'm up.
Okay. Yeah. Of course. You're storing all your interests in Millennium Falcons. um,
I would be an idiot not to invest more. I'm
yeah.
immediately becoming like the enemy. I'm becoming evil. Evil Sam is awakening. Uh, because apparently some of my Legos are worth like a good amount of money. Specifically,
Oh
the minifigures.
gosh.
So I may am I gonna sell my childhood a piece at a time to pay off adult stuff?
See,
Just a little.
what's crazy is the minifigures is the most important part of any Lego set. Like the little guys, like oh boy, I had
100%.
yeah, I had this like Y-wing. I think that was like the biggest like Star Wars Lego that I ever had, and it had four little rebel guys. And man, those little rebel guys, they went on so many little adventures all around all the world. They're fighting dragons. They were in like Wizards of Waverly Place. Like I built the Wizards of Waverly Place characters in Lego. Oh man, but I that's we can't get into that. I have so many questions for you. Like this, okay, Bricklinks. Like tell me about that. This is the first time hearing this.
Bricklinks is essentially Lego eBay, and it's apparently owned by Lego. It used to not be, but now is.
That's
and it's where
That's
people do
insider
things
trading.
like it is. I know this all feels very illegal. It's not, but it feels very illegal.
Yeah.
It's where people sell like individual pieces. So like, hey, my set's missing a piece, or I'm trying to make a clone trooper army. Can I buy random clone troopers off of you, or random battle
my
droids, or whatever?
God.
And then you get into the real nitty gritty where it's like, I'm looking for this Jedi, this droid, this random minifig that's only appeared in one set from 2007.
Jesus.
And I happen to have some of that. And so you may be thinking, yes, the minifigs are the most important piece of the puzzle. And as far as preserving my own childhood and my own possessions,
And your dignity.
I don't want to, and my dignity, I don't want to be
forget your
selling
dignity.
my Darth Vader or my Luke Skywalker or even like my Ahsoka Tano or my Emperor Palpatine, like cool figures, my
gotta keep
R2D2, my
Sheev.
Obi-Wan. But do I really care? Yeah, I gotta keep Sheev. But do I really care, for instance, about The Force Unleashes Starkiller? A game I've never played, from a set that I don't even remember owning.
Yeah, that's just Darth Vader without the face part, and from what I'm seeing.
Yes.
For those of you who are wondering what Sam's holding at me, it's just a black helmet, black cape, black clothes, sleeveless getup, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
He kind of looks like
Robot
if
arm, I
Always
believe.
Sunny. A robot arm is too much. They tried too hard. I feel like
They
it looks
did.
like Always Sunny Mac, like his kind of default outfit if he was like a Sith Lord. Yeah.
Do I really care about Starkiller? Not really. Never played Force Awakens or Force Unleashed. Do I really care about Ahsoka Tano's R2D2?
You can't
No.
just have a R2D2 colored like Ahsoka Tano. That doesn't make. Why would it be colored like her? Just because she
Mallory?
has it.
I am holding $45 in my hand.
Sam, this is crazy. Whoa. Okay,
I am holding
Bricklinks-
with Starkiller $80 in my hand.
$80 for Starkiller?
Potentially.
This is
Do
like
I care about... Now, this one hurts maybe a little bit. This is the one I
Okay.
care about maybe the most that I'd be willing to sell.
Yes.
Do I care about, quote-unquote, Phase 1 Clone Wars Captain Rex? Maybe.
got
Rex
cool
is
later.
cool. I remember the Clone Wars.
He got like the little.
He's got the
cape
cool little
thing.
visor and the yellow and blue Star Wars helmet. Like, it's okay. But do I care about him $220 much?
Man.
I'll say goodbye to Captain Rex. So that's been my adventure. Those have been some of the ones I've found that apparently are worth like a decent amount of money that's in my personal collection, which I feel okay about selling because I bought these or were gifted them anywhere from ages 7 to 12. Like these were purchased without the intent to scalp, right? Let me tell you, I really don't care about Commander Fox a red clone trooper who was in one
Yeah.
set, a spider droid. Very cool set. And I particularly don't care because this guy has a misprint on his belt. There is a little like circle, you can barely see it on the camera, above his belt. It's
Not
supposed to
able
be
to make
filled
that
in.
out.
It's not
That's
filled
amazing.
in. Yep, it is. It is so insignificant. But because that circle isn't filled out, this guy, who's normally worth like $200, is worth somewhere around $900 to $1,500. I'm willing to become a villain for this. I'm gonna sell. Captain Fox is going bye-bye. So that's been my week, is obsessing over this, researching it a ton. I have an authentic misprint of a rare clone trooper Lego minifigure, and it might help me pay off a loan, which is incredible.
See, here's the thing is, okay, I have so much to say about this. Okay, first of all, is this like Wall Street Bets? Is this gonna be the new Folding Ideas video where they're just like stud hands, like they gotta like,
100%.
Yeah,
Because
like
it's a
who
speculative
is paying
market
this
that
much?
expanded like crazy during COVID. It's just like Pokemon trading cards, which I
Oh
think
my
is like
God.
despicable. I go to my local Target. I see the card section like ransacked every week. I see the Target employees like sadly picking it up and cleaning it up, and I'm like, I never want to be these people. I met some of these people when I was standing in line for a Switch 2, not to scalp it. Don't only villains do that, but to buy it for my own personal enjoyment.
Right,
and
right.
potentially now Deltarune's chapter 3 and 4. But I met some like Pokemon card trading scalpers, and they themselves seem fine, but the practice seems like horrible to me.
Yeah.
But I already own this stuff. It's sitting in a closet, and it could significantly help me out financially. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. My errand today that I told you about, where I've been basically just mainlining Deltarune for the last few days, except for one errand, was to go to the local Lego hobbyist shop and get a price valuation of these minifigures.
Wow. That's so crazy.
Now, their low ball for me was like $900 for the 4 I just showed you. And they were only going to pay me like half of that. And so I turned them down and said, I guess I'm going to try and sell it myself. So that's where I'm at. But it has been quite an adventure.
God, can you
Late
imagine?
stage capitalism works out every once in a while, you know?
Can you imagine the guy from Toy Story who like collects all the like toys in like perfect condition in the boxes, being like, oh my God, that Commander Fox has like a little like ding off of his belt. Like, I don't know.
I don't know who these people are.
Someone has
I'm inclined
lost
to make fun of
the
them,
plot.
but they may financially like improve my life. So
That's the thing. Like like the
glad
way
they're out
I'm
there.
seeing them right now is I'm like, you guys are like a charitable outreach organization that is like finding excuses to like give money to people who like luck into it. It's like, because there's no way, like, I can see how like collecting like some rare like obscure minifigures can then like, you know, double down when it's like you find the actual person at the end of the chain who like really actually cares about like collecting every single one of these. But the idea of like
right.
I don't see an end to the chain of the person who wants Commander Fox with a little white circle on his belt. Like,
No, I don't know who.
Crazy.
I feel that way about Pokemon cards as well, where it's like,
Yeah.
who's actually wants the Pokemon card for $800?
Right.
Do they want it for $800 because they want to sell it for $1,000, or is there someone who just wants the card who doesn't already own it? I don't get it.
Yeah, like if I had a big Charizard, I would frame it, you know? That would be cool as heck.
Right.
I have Snom cards that aren't shiny or holographic or anything, but they're on display because I had a little 3D printed Snom. Like, you know, it's I care about Pokemon at the end of the line. So if you're any like relapsing Pokemon card dealers, definitely, you know, you can be forgiven if you just mail me your Charizards, I think is basically what I'm saying. But wow, this is insane. This is the craziest, like, I don't know. This is fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that I'm now involved in this, but from the outside, it's like like I've learned all about like There's a Bail Organa that's really rare that goes for like $80.
Bail Organa.
The white whale of like minifigure collecting is a
Yeah.
little Yoda that was given out in New York City during I believe during like New Year's Eve 2000, and it's just a Yoda and wearing a white t-shirt that says I Heart New York. That thing's worth $6,000.
Okay.
I've now seen one in person at this hobbyist store. Like, it's wild.
I would pay $6,000 for a little Yoda that I Heart New York.
No, not at all.
That is hilarious. No, I would. That's so funny. See, that I get.
Absolutely not. It's like the size of my thumb. Like, no, not a chance. But the guy I took these to, by the way, was like the other guy in Toy Story 2, the one that like fixes Woody up. Like, he was like sitting there with the magnifying glass. Apparently my Captain Fox has a hairline crack on his arm, but that's okay because you can replace the arms. It's the chest piece that matters because that's where the misprint is. But don't pop the arm out. If you do it yourself, you have a high risk of cracking the chest piece. So now I've got this Fabergé egg of Lego plastic from 2009 that is worth $1,000 potentially, and I have to try and sell it, and I've got to pack it in bubble wrap, and I've got to make a Lego eBay account, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. But this will continue to be updated for the next few weeks, I imagine.
I'm waiting for like Ocean's.
So that's been my week.
Ocean's 13, they stole the egg. I feel like Ocean's 14, they're like breaking into like people's houses and stealing their childhood fucking Lego minifigures.
I know where that $6,000 Yoda is. Like, I feel like you could steal it really easily.
Wow. We don't condone armed robbery on this podcast, I guess.
There's a story right now in the news about someone getting like kidnapped and tortured for their Bitcoin wallet.
Jeez.
Just find the Lego collectors. Yeah, that's horrible. And so is what I'm saying. But let's in good fun. And this is sad. This is satire. But
yeah, this is satire. Should we cut out this part? Because I don't want a string of like robberies to be linked back to our podcast.
Because it's fascinating.
That's crazy. Wow. You
and
really
now I'm
got
looking
me.
at Lego sets differently, where I'm looking at them like by like the figure per dollar ratio. I'm like, oh well, that one comes with Cal Kestis, and he's only available in this random Star Wars like ship set, and like Cal Kestis is pretty cool. I don't know.
Here's this is the other side of the conversation: is what did you buy? Like, what Legos did you buy?
So I did something that I've wanted to do for a long time because I'm sick of buying sets and then them being worth like $3,000 later on. Like what got me back into Lego is the ship in the bottle behind me. This thing is worth like at least double the price. I think way more than that now. Like it's like pretty expensive and it's been out of circulation for like 5 or 6 years. I started getting back into Lego during the pandemic and buying Lego Ideas sets. You can see them behind me. And all I did was say, I should buy duplicates of what I buy, just for the hell of it, just to stick it in a shelf and sell it down the road. Is that nudging me in the direction of Evil Sam? I think so, but I don't know. At this point, it just feels like a smart investment. However, I still am buying with my heart because I bought a set that comes with no minifigures that I just personally care about. They made a little mini Venerator. It has a different name, but I can't remember what it is. The Venerator is the Clone Wars Star Destroyer with like the red stripe down the middle. And that was one of my favorite sets as a kid. And my version of it is lost to time. So I bought a little mini model one that's going to go on my shelf behind me.
Oh, that's cute.
And then I bought a second one to resell it later.
So
the Anubis scales, like, is my soul lighter than a feather? Is it lighter than a minifig? I don't know, but
that
to be continued.
That took some weight off of it for sure. What is the Venerator from? Is it like?
It's from the opening scene of Episode 3, and then also the Clone Wars. It's heavily featured in.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's the good guy Star Destroyer.
Dang, I'm trying to think. I've thought about this quite a bit because like I like spaceships. I really do. And I have thought about like what would be the Lego ship I would get if I were to like just have a midlife crisis and like splurge on one. But Honestly, I feel like it's just the Cowboy Bebop ship. Like, I feel like that's the one I care about more than like the swordfish that Spike flies. Like, I feel like that's like the one. You know what I mean?
We're closer to that than I think you realize, because like Lego has been doing this Lego Ideas series for a long time now, for the last like 5, 6, maybe 10 years. Probably not 10. It's probably been like 6. And they're essentially like Lego sets designed by the community, and then people vote on them on like a website that's official. And then the ones that like get a lot of votes, a lot of times are based off of like existing properties, and then Lego goes, yeah, we can see if we can make a deal. And that's how you end up with like a Tim Burton Lego set. There's one right now for like the Twilight, like the vampire movie, like house.
No
There's
way.
just all kinds of random stuff. There's a Home Alone set.
Wait, so we could
And
get
so I
Wizards
feel
of Waverly Place set for real?
You could. Or a Cowboy Bebop set. I believe there's a like pretty substantiated rumor right now that there's going to be a One Piece set, because that's getting a new Netflix season for the live action show. So that'd be pretty cool. I would buy that. I'd buy me a Going Merry or Thousand Sunny, which are the boats from One Piece. But yeah, Lego's cool. I know. I know you're tuned in for Deltarune conversations, but I got Lego on the brain.
Man, I do too now. That's great. It's gonna be a hard transition because
Listen, I'll talk about Lego for another 40 minutes because I've been doing nothing but I'm watching people do blind bags. I'm watching auction recaps. Like, I'm not going to get into this because I don't have money and it seems like stupid and evil, but it's fascinating. And I did buy 2 sets because maybe I am a little evil. We'll see.
Well, not to be Delta rude, but I think it's time to move on to our next segment.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
That was pretty good of them, right? I feel like that was decent.
Delta Rude.
Delta rude.
It's one of your better ones, for sure.
Sam, get the banana! Ah!
So I picked up the first banana, but I didn't pick up the second. And then the game knew I was going to not pick up the second, and it predicted it, and it had a joke about it, and it made me really mad.
What was the joke about it?
It was just like, ha ha ha, I knew you weren't going to go for it this time. Essentially, like Queen is telling you that, and I didn't get to... I don't know what would have happened if I'd picked up the second banana. I've only done one playthrough.
Yes.
Playthrough 2 is the banana playthrough.
Do you want to be spoiled on what happens if you pick up the banana both times?
I can't know. No, it was full spoilers, chapters 1 and 2, just for reference for everybody else, but also for me. I literally finished the game an hour and a half ago, and then I went to Taco Bell, local Mexican cuisine. And while I was driving to Taco Bell, I was listening to Deltarune theories to catch up on what I have missed.
Gorgeous.
I have so many questions about who the knight is. What's the deal with Kris? What's the deal with the genocide route? How does that work? I didn't go for that. I got problems, Mallory. Usually when we record these episodes, I pull up like a character list just so because I'm bad with names. And when I Google Deltarune characters, I'm going to really need your help on this episode. The first one's Spamton. I know people like Spamton a lot. For me, he's a dude I met in the alleyway once, and I've only interacted with him the one time.
Right.
I didn't get to Neo Spamton, Spamton the Undying, Spamton last of his name. I didn't get any of that. And then the next one's
Spamton,
Jevil,
Mother of Dragons,
which I didn't know was a character. And Jevil is the boss in chapter 1 that I missed.
The secret boss, yeah.
And then the third character's Kris. So I'm dipping my toe into a large ocean, as we often do with this podcast. So Mallory, I want to hear from you. The sense I get playing these games, Undertale, but especially Deltarune, is that I'm like consuming a sacred text of what makes Mallory tick. Is that an accurate assumption? Yeah,
I mean, I definitely had this in mind when I was like doing my like replaying it this time of like, what is Sam's experience of this game going to be like? Because like I personally in my playthroughs like never went for the secret bosses because I'm not good at playing video games. So then my goal this time was like, okay, I'm gonna do the secret bosses. I'm gonna try and beat them so that I can actually experience it. Failed, give up. It was too hard. Maybe more dedicated gamers could push through, but like, you know, I've known about these like Javelin Spamton and all their secret Spamton Mother of Dragons and all their forms and like you know, I've like I've seen the YouTube videos, I know what happens, but I've struggled to actually like beat it on my own. But yeah, like there's definitely like a lot of iceberg stuff going on with this game. There's a lot of like, and I think also like to understand, because I'm not sure like how much research you're able to do on like the release of these things, but it's like chapter 1 came out.
I've heard the name Gaster, and I forgot who that was, and I had to look it up.
Yeah,
but that's about the level I'm at. I'm maybe like level 2 of the iceberg. There's a lot of levels below.
I think I brought up Gaster at the end of the Undertale episode because I was like, Sam's gonna need this random background detail that is not in the game at all. Like, you can get details of Gaster on Undertale based on like a random number that's generated when you play through. So it's like you have to keep playing through to get like these different numbers, or go into the game file and like mess with like the code in order to like even access this stuff. But like, it's there's so much to it, and then like yeah, I think chapter 1 came out 2018, I believe, and then chapter 2
it
came
did.
out during the pandemic.
I was looking that up
Yeah.
for a very petty reason.
Uh-huh.
I was like, what came first? Because people talk about Deltarune. I've known about it for a long time,
Yes.
as with Undertale, and I've never wanted to play it because hey, waiting for things is terrible, and
And now I've cursed you.
7-chapter project that's about to get chapter 3 and 4 coming out.
Yeah.
And I haven't had to wait for any of that. It's coming out next week for me.
Yeah.
But in that time period, I was like, what came first? Chapter 1 of Deltarune or the announcement of Hollow Knight Silk Song? And the answer may surprise you. It was Silk Song.
Oh, wow.
So, that's my white whale. That's my, like, boy, I would love for this indie game to come out at some point. And it's allegedly coming out this year with the Switch 2, just like chapters 3 and 4 of Deltarune. But it's been a long time for both of these projects. And I've been hearing people wanting this forever.
Yeah, and, like, I think that's, like, a big part of, like, understanding why the community is the way it is that...
Why they're insane is because they have endless time.
So long. And, like, getting the first 2 chapters of any book, or, like, getting the first 2, like... It's like, you know, if Star Wars, like, episode, like, 7 and 8 came out and then 9 got delayed for, like, 5 years, it's just like, okay, well, like, everyone is just theorizing about, like, I'm just like, how's the story gonna go? How's the plot gonna go? Because there's, like, it's not always the most complex. Like, the character arcs, like, certain characters seem to be on pretty clear trajectories, but you're just, like, you don't have the rest of it, and you're just, like, kind of tweaking and, like, what am I, like, how am I actually going to figure this out? So, yeah, and then, yeah, like, so much
Well, and every
every
line from every random-ass character is either an Earthbound reference or, like, an internet reference or the most significant lore drop of all time. Like, I felt, like, unprepared at the end of both chapters to, like, wander around town and get little pieces of dialogue. I did not meet Noelle's father in the first chapter at all. Completely missed him. Any conversation with Sans is just like, this is getting a little meta. I don't know what's going on here. It's fascinating. All of, like, the reinterpretations of the Undertale lore into this game, all the one-off jokes that could be more than jokes. I just learned about the Eggman. I didn't meet the Eggman in either chapter. Excellent joke, but also, like, is it more than a joke?
Yeah, people are so fixated, and it's like it's like one of those ones that could completely go either way. It's like, yeah, like Gaster, this like elusive, mysterious character has been hiding in a tree the entire time, or no, this is just a one-off joke about Easter eggs and is not real.
Right.
And like if you collect an egg in every single chapter and put it in your dad's fridge, then at the end he goes, "Oh wow, my fridge is full of eggs. That's funny." And there's nothing else to it. You know what I mean? Like
100%. But at the same time, it has
Yeah.
that feeling of like you're playing through a creepypasta. Why is there like a locked bunker in the town?
Yes.
What's up with the graveyard? Like, what's up with the lake? There's so many weird details and artwork, and it's very effective with how it cuts out music, and obviously the ends of both chapters with Kris and the soul
Yes.
and the knife. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
like
very
really
creeped out beating chapter
Yeah.
1 at like 1 in the morning last night.
No, oh my god, yeah, that is not the time to be chapter 1. It's so scary, and especially like you're not expecting it at all. Like you're just like,
Not at all.
what? And then like it's like that, and then yeah, the chapter 2 ending, you're like, how are they gonna one up the chapter 1 ending? And like so much happens, and you're like, and like like the amount of speculation is like, why did Kris unlock the door? Why did they turn on the TV? Like, how much of this was planned in
Why did
advance?
they slash
Like,
the tires?
why did they slash the tires? Exactly. Like, it has led people to doing like soothsaying and like for like putting like rocks under the sun to try to like predict like the ways that the shadows will fall. Like it has created so much like impossible chaos, and there's some really fascinating and good and like I think probably accurate theories like out there, but at the same time it's just like we're working with so little. And like, yeah, I mean, chapter 3 and chapter 4 coming out, like I could not be more excited to get at least a little bit more development in a direction so that we can like rule some stuff out, you know, like at the very least.
In classic Nobody Leaves fashion, like jumping right to the end.
Yes.
I was sitting there like so stressed out. I'm like, what's going to happen? I know something weird's going to happen in this chapter. And like, you're hanging out with Susie and Toriel.
Yeah.
And I try and wash my hands in the kitchen. It won't let me do it. I got to go in the bathroom. I don't want to go in the
Yeah.
bathroom because they won't be able to see what happens. And yeah, excellent work.
It's so crazy. It's so like the way that things are worded as well. It's like, yeah, they won't be. It's like there's like some line about like, yeah, they won't be able to hear you if you turn on the tap or whatever. Like it's like, and then there's also just like obvious like kind of self-harm, depression kind of like metaphors, like pretty like the subtext is pretty much text type of stuff going on with Kris, where you're like, I'm not comfortable with where we are right now. Like,
I am no longer comfortable with this bit. Like, it gets,
yeah.
it gets intense.
Yeah, I mean, like, it seems like Kris is like obviously we're gonna talk about like a bunch of characters and what we like, what we love, all this kind of stuff. But like, it seems like Kris is top of mind, and as they should be, because it
Very
seems
much
like
so.
is very much what the center of the game is. Like, what are you? Okay. I'll tell you how I think about it, and I think like
Okay.
I'll give you my main pitch is like, and I don't think this is a very hot take, but this is pretty much like what I feel like the thrust of the game and like what it's about, what it feels like it's about, is just this like relationship between player and protagonist. The way that chapter 1 like opens and closes is very like centered around this idea of like, who are you type of stuff, you know, like are you the protagonist? And like there's this like voice that's kind of like dictating stuff as you're like doing the little create your character menu,
right before it dramatically like mission statement, your choices don't matter.
Yes.
I don't know what the exact phrasing is, but like that's a strong start of like,
right,
okay, we're doing something different here.
Yeah, and it's like it's clearly two different voices, because one is written in all caps and the other like interrupts it and is like written in a different way, and like the phrasing of things are different. But yeah, like most people are like, that's Gaster, but Gaster or not, it's probably Gaster, but Gaster or not, it's like the, you know, big mysterious voice or whatever that's kind of like controlling and dictating things, and then it's interrupted. The theory that I've seen that I really agree with is that interrupting voice is Kris, and that's like the one time we've seen them talk to you so far. is like
Right, because every other time you're controlling Kris like a
yes.
puppet, essentially. You're the heart.
Yes.
Kris is the character,
Mm-hmm.
and then when Kris rips you out,
Mm.
they get to do. That's when you're not in control, right? Is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
idea?
yeah. So it's like I feel like the whole kind of process is like the struggle, and then like after it says your choices don't matter, like it's like you choose your name, and then it's like, no, your choices don't matter. Your name is, and then it cuts to like Toriel yelling Kris or whatever. I think it's definitely just all about negotiating this. Like it's like almost this like tug of war and power struggle between you and the protagonist. It feels like Kris is saying your name's Kris.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to build yourself and your character and your kind of thing, and it's like this fight for control seems to be really at like the core of the central thing. And like it feels like Kris, this like depressed kid who's kind of feels like they're at like this dead end, is like the younger sibling that's like kind of a mess up prankster, no real like aspirations, versus like their older brother who's like the golden child of the town that everyone in the entire town is talking to about all the time. Like it feels like they are very hopeless. I feel like they did some deal with the devil to get the player to have this kind of bond with them, but it's like this like argument about whether choices matter, and this argument about like, who are you the protagonist, are you them, who's in control of this game. Fascinating stuff, really cool, like central thesis.
The Kris stuff is weird to me.
Yeah.
I'm obviously like so many of these details are very like front heavy or hidden and things that I maybe have not spotted. Like for me, all the characterization of Kris happens in the first like minute, where it's like your bedroom versus your brother's side of the bedroom,
right?
And then you get a little bit more at the end when you can go talk to your dad and like see the town for a little bit more, and then you get a little bit more with Noelle in chapter 2, referring back to like the adventures that you and her sibling and your missing sibling all did. But for the most part, like I don't know who Kris is. Kris is a huge mystery to me as a character, but is like probably the most fascinating part of the story, but also the part I know the least about.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's super interesting. I mean, like what. And there's also like so many things that go into like choices where like certain choices you make, like the characters will describe your facial expression to you, or like that you said it in like a forced way, or that you said it in an enthusiastic way. Like one of my favorite ones was like just because it involves my obviously my favorite character, Queen, is when Kris is talking to Queen and she's just like is like, would you like to perish at my hand or like take shelter under the warmth of my bosom? And the choice you're given is perish in bosom. Amazing choice. Good choice to be given.
Incredible.
And then if you choose perish, like Kris screams perish, and you're like, hey buddy, are you good, are you all right? Like they're like, hey, why do you sound so enthusiastic, like you've lit up like you haven't lit up all day when you're given the option to say perish.
Right. Why are you excited about perishing?
Yeah, obviously I chose bosom, but I later found this out.
I also chose bosom.
What are some of your thoughts, like, given this kind of conceit and, like, how you're feeling throughout the game?
Okay, well, in general, I can tell you, like, high-level thoughts about Deltarune. I like it more than Undertale. I love the turn-based aspect of it in terms of, like, how can we take this cool system in Undertale of sparing enemies or killing them, and making a game where you don't have to attack anybody, and that's like the tagline of Undertale. How can we like immediately turn this and make it like add complexity in terms of gameplay? And they do it immediately by pairing you with someone who just wants to kill people, and like trying to keep Susie from killing someone is such an interesting challenge in the early parts of chapter 1, and it's like just excellent in terms of like trolling people who have already played Undertale, who I think is the intended audience for this game. But then the actual I found the spare enemy puzzles to be like way easier in this game, but also like way more satisfying, where I wasn't a lot of trial and error and having to restart fights over and over again. It was pretty clear what you had to do, and there's still a lot of room for humor in that. Like dropping mousetrap like traps on mice, or
Yeah.
deleting pop-ups. Like, there's a lot of great ones in chapter 2. Like, all that's wonderful. The Toby Fox weird humor, internet-based humor, to me worked like way better in this. Probably just because it's more recent. And yeah, I thought in general great. Love having party members. Love having unexpected party members like Noelle. Just very fun. Excellent game. Music's incredible. The track that jumped out to me this time was the jazzy shop track. I cannot remember what it's called. It's called like Hip Store or something, and it's just like wonderful.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, I love. My favorite track has always been the it's called A Cyber's World with a question mark, which is also my favorite title to a track. But just when you first walk into the little like cyber world and it hits you with the like it's nice. It's nice. I like it a lot.
It's a strong entrance for Cyber World, where you're like seeing this big cityscape. It's the art direction in general throughout Deltarune is like very solid to me.
Yeah, it's definitely like a, Undertale is pretty bare bones. Like there's some very cool artistic stuff like working with like what they were doing, but like I would definitely say that Deltarune leads a lot more on the side of like having these just like fun, flashy kind of things. Like I don't know, like the and also just like everything being in rhythm with music and like the cyber world just makes me so happy. Like the little missiles and everything, like it's all like on the beat. Like I don't know, that really gets me. Like it's the Baby Driver of video games.
That's an awesome comparison. So yeah, no, it's like everything is super intentional, and it's all going towards that like irreverent but like surprisingly emotional tone that is just like delightful, and is very like, it screams like creativity and uniqueness in a way that is just like constantly unexpected and funny and hilarious. And and I think it does a lot better of job of like varying things up as opposed to Undertale, whereas Undertale, it was really like, if you're not digging the papyrus stuff, you're going to have a bad time in the first third of this game. If you're not digging the Alfie stuff, you're going to have a bad time in the last third of this game. Like, there are definitely characters that maybe, like, hang out a lot and have a lot of the same jokes. One of my co-hosts may be dressed as one of those characters, but it...
Controversial figure in the community.
Controversial figure in gaming, yeah. But there is, I cannot wait to play 3 and 4 now, and I don't have to wait at all because I'm a bastard and I just started playing these.
I mean, yeah. In hindsight, I'm kind of glad I didn't make you wait, just in terms of being kind to my friend. Like, I'm glad that you are having the opportunity to just like play it all at once, and I'm curious like how our feelings on the game might differ based on like, how brain rotted I am compared to you by the time it gets there.
Right, I can't wait for 3 or 4, but I don't have any of this baggage of like, is that a Gaster reference? Like, I don't have none of it.
Totally. Yeah, no, speaking of our queen, like, side characters, I think like Susie, Ralsei obviously being like your main party members, but like Noelle, Birdley, and Queen are like the stars in chapter 2 and get like a lot of attention as well. Lancer, of course, classic guy. Any characters that might have stood out to you?
The Susie and Ralsei. Wait a minute.
I've been saying Ralsei. I know people say Ralsei. Or wait, what do you? What's the hesitation?
I'm talking about the anagram.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Did you figure that out by yourself, by the way, or was it?
No, not at all. I didn't know, but I also like could look at it and be like, this is an anagram. That character, to me, I didn't interact with that character much in my neutral playthrough of Undertale, but like, I'm not an idiot. Like, I didn't realize that Deltarune was an anagram for Undertale for a long time, and I was like, oh. Duh.
Toby Fox ate with that Heike. I think
He really did.
It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool title.
It's solid, and I am definitely excited to jump back into the Undertale lore about what they say about Deltarune and what they say about the Angel and all this different stuff. Like, I love how the game plays with your. I know this is not your question that you were asking me. I love Kris,
yeah,
and
for
I love
sure.
Ralsei, but and I love Susie, but I love how the game plays with your knowledge of Flowey, where it's just horrifying to see like, what does your dad own? A flower shop. What's on the table next to Noelle's dad? Like a potted flower. Like there's references to like speaking to the flowers, and when you're in jail in chapter 2 and you have like the megaphone system that you can talk to Susie, it reminded me of those like earpiece flowers from Undertale, and I was just like, oh no. Like he knows what he's doing. It's a game that benefits you reading into it too much in a way that is very fun, and I can see why people became obsessed to a certain degree with this series.
Yeah, it's also, I feel like it does the perfect balance of like decentering the Undertale characters while still like people who care about those characters will get their fill of them, and like they're basically just building this like AU of the original Undertale of just having them live normal pedestrian lives, but yeah, like using that as like a backdrop to like you get kind of a deeper cross section of character where there's weird parallels, like Asgore in like the original Undertale is like this king who did a bunch of stuff that was kind of looked on questionably and like had this like fallen thing, versus Asgore in Deltarune was like this police chief who like kind of resigned at a certain point and is like, you know, divorced in every timeline and like, you know, stuff like that.
Right. I didn't even know that he was the police chief. I know that Undyne's the like police officer in town, and I know that people think, I mean, Toriel, every Toriel conversation is like shrouded in like, does she know? Like what? Like there's an element of like, Toriel seems to know more than she's letting on. Like how she calls the police. Like you can read it one of two ways, like trying to protect the kid's innocence by calling the police quietly, or does she know that it was Kris that did it? Like there's like everything has this weird double meaning because of that Undertale baggage in a way that's just like great. And I cannot wait for chapter 3, which I would assume Toriel is getting pulled into the Dark World. And I would also, people have speculated, I saw in the 40 minutes I had to do research, that Undyne might get pulled in as well because she called the police and then Kris left the door open and then opened the portal.
Yeah, like
that would be pretty cool.
Just real quick with the Asgore, that is one of the most minor details that where you can go in the police station in chapter 2 and like read the bulletin board, and there's like a newspaper clipping where it talks about like a situation where Asgore stepped down from being the police chief, so that's why Undyne has like now taken over. And
he's doing a great job.
Yeah, and then but then it's like Asgore also like or Kris, while they're reading the article, literally said it's like you chose not to read any further, basically, of like Kris like actively averts their eyes because it's like obviously like some stuff happened with their father, like, or something traumatic. But yeah, to move
there
on
are multiple moments
Undyne
where
thing,
either Kris or Susie or Toriel are like blocking the player from learning information in ways that is like exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And speaks so much like also to their character and like the emotions, but like I like that it's not just like cheap, like it doesn't feel like we're thinking of cheap ways to hide lore from you. It's like, no, this is like emotionally significant to this character.
Right. It's all building into the character's traumas and their secrets, and it's great.
Absolutely. But yeah, who's gonna be in the thing this time? God, I want Toriel in there. Seems like she will be because she's literally in the room. I don't necessarily know she'd be like a party member, but like I just want her character to have all the, because that relationship is fascinating. Undyne and I think that there's enough clues that Undyne probably won't join, just in the sense of like there's like this whole thing of like she's like I kept calling to get through, so something was like happening with the police that kind of feels like
Right.
okay, like they were busy doing something else in town.
Well, there's
And then
also like
yeah,
the phones are down and the internet
yeah,
was down all day. Like there's these
yeah.
implications that like the town's starting to like fall apart.
Yeah, some weird stuff going on like all levels basically of like in the magic world and also the real world. But yeah, I think that like my main reason why I don't think Undyne will go into the dark world is because I think Toby Fox is really relishing in and enjoying the bit where you keep telling Undyne exactly what's happened and she goes, ha ha, as if. And I
Right.
don't think he will give up the opportunity to keep telling that joke for like another 4 chapters. Like, I think
Same with
that...
the traffic directing being all out of whack, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's some running gags that have just got
gags.
started with Undyne.
And yeah, some people have theorized like maybe Asgore will go in because like she'd be like, oh, you're the old police chief, you go take care of it, which would be very
And he references
interesting,
wanting to deliver. He tries to give her flowers if you go into Sans's grocery store. Like there's some weirdness there.
Yeah,
I do gotta wonder if it's like he doesn't want to bring Toby Fox doesn't want to bring in too many Undertale characters because he's introducing a whole new cast. And there's a feeling, I feel like we're going to see the rest of the class, right? Like, or at least many members of the class end up pulled in. I want Cool Snake Guy. I want an arc with Cool Snake Guy. I love him.
Yeah. No,
Mean
I
Cat
want
Girl is also an option.
him and
like,
Mean Cat Girl.
Temmie.
Yeah. She's really cute. Yeah, no, that is cool. She has this line where she references like doing occult research with Kris at some point, where you're like,
yes, teaching her spells.
oh, that has to be something. Like, come on. Like, yeah, and then
well, what's great is like because of the setup, it could be something, or it could be like the imagined world that's heightened by the dark world, like much like the playing cards and like the pile of junk. Like,
yeah,
it could be as simple as like Noelle can cast spells because she once played a game where she was pretending to cast spells as a child, right? Like it could be just as simple as that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I'm personally a Monster Kid fan. First of all, because of the fact they were in the original game, but also just like I like the way that their characters like. I don't know. They feel very real to me as this character that's like spreading rumors and kind of like, you know, just wanting to fit in and like engaging in like the bullet like. Reverse bullying Susie in this weird way, or like I don't know, is I always enjoy the conversations with them and like Snowy, so I personally would love like any of the classmates getting pulled in would be really good, but at the same time like I think this game does a really good job of like centering like our protagonists and our central trio is like the most important characters. So like I wouldn't doubt if we're gonna get some like Dark World soon where it's like just Kris and Susie and Ralsei, or just Kris and Susie or something like that, you know.
Well, like like Lancer is barely in chapter 2, right? He's in your pocket the whole time, but he's not that relevant. And it's 2 chapters is such a weird spot to be in because it's not enough to establish a pattern. Because like now it feels like, oh, we're going to get some of the classmates every time because we got Susie in chapter 1 and we got Birdley and Noelle in chapter 2. But they could just not have them at all. They could start bringing in Undertale characters, or they couldn't. Like, there's so many different... There's no rules because there's not enough to make a pattern yet. Like, all we have is, like, the wells. And that's also thrown out the window in the end of chapter 2, where Kris is the one opening up the well. So it's like... Does that mean Kris has always been the knight? Like, what does that mean? Like, who is the knight? Like, it's all fascinating. Is there always going to be a secret boss? I saw things where people were like...
Exactly.
Does the boss always reference the next boss? Because King references Queen, and then Queen references... Or maybe it's Queen or Spamton references, like, what might be a TV character. Who knows? What does it matter? But it's fun to speculate about.
Yeah, absolutely. You're completely like on the money, I think, about like the being too early to establish a pattern in so many ways. Like, you know, like, because I've kind of heard it going around, and like I'm pretty inclined to believe that Noelle is like a pretty important character to the story. It seems like
right, like going forward,
like
Noelle will be hanging around, especially with the alternate
yeah.
route, right? Like it implies there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and like I've heard it theorized that like she could end up being a villain in some way, like just based on like how everything goes. But it's also like so hard to be like, are we putting too much importance on Noelle because we're only 2 chapters in? You know what I mean? Like it's
right.
so.
But
hard
there's so
to,
much set up there
yeah.
in the end with like who's her mother, who's her sibling,
Yes.
what's up with her
Yes,
father,
yes.
what's up with the
Yeah.
flower. Like there's plenty there. What's up with the church? She has ties to the church. The church is going to open the next day. Her dad's going to go to church tomorrow. Like there's so many. It's crazy how much is present in a 2-day story so far. Like they mentioned a carnival is being prepared for in town. Is that going to be like chapter 5? Like,
right?
How many days till the carnival in town? What will the town look like by the time it gets to the carnival? Like, what's up with the mayor? Like, there's so many loose threads.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to meet Papyrus?
Yeah, exactly. Like that feels like another one of those bits where it's just going to be like, yeah, Sansa's just going to keep saying that Papyrus is not here every day, you know? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's there's a lot of to definitely like speculate on, but I think it's a testament to the strength of the writing in terms of like, I think there's a clear understanding of like what each character is, what they represent on like a meta level, on a emotional level, on a like, you know, arcs and like how they're interacting between characters. Like I think there's like such a solid understanding of each character that like you're able to like cram in like so much details that are all gonna like kind of be congruent with like the larger story that's being told because there's a clear understanding. Like I think that's one thing that makes me feel I feel like I'm in comfortable and safe arms with Deltarune because it's like, okay, like we know where the story's going. This is not about to just randomly change based on like, you know,
right.
like, you know, the fans didn't like this aspect or that aspect, and you all of a sudden like Finn's not in the movie anymore, and it's like, you know, I think that I feel
Rose,
very,
do you
like,
want to come with us on the adventure? No, Princess Leia, who is played by a dead actress, wants me to hang around base. Okay.
No, Princess Leia said she needs to be at base. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Ugh, how they massacred her. But yeah, no. There's a lot of depth. I want to get in. I love these characters so much. I'll come out swinging. I feel like it's very basic, but my actual favorite character is probably Susie, like undoubtedly. She is I love her. I love the way she's written.
Every Susie line, I'm like, that's a Mallory-ass joke. Like, the fact
Really?
that she's a bully, the fact that she's angry, but she makes, like, the fact that she's, like, so punk. Like, I was like, these are Mallory jokes, like, through and through. The fact that she eats chalk. I don't...
Yeah.
These are not like insults, by the way. This is just like
no.
the
Sam
kind
knows
of like
that I lean into all of these aspects of my personality.
you have a attraction to like lol so random characters to a certain degree, but also these games have like the absolute best versions of those, like execution wise. Like everything Susie does is funny. Like it's all the fact that like when you're separated from her and she's going on her own little date in chapter 2 and you just see her like eating the cotton candy and hanging out at the carnival, all I want to do is hear what that conversation is. Like I just because it's good, you know, it's going to be gold.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, I think, and it's like that's like the thing I'm saying about character. It's like there's so many references to her like eating weird stuff, and it's like a funny bit. But then people are also like, is she homeless? Is she struggling with food? Like there's like a lot of references to her being hungry all the time, and it's like they're able to meld like, because we know who this character is and their personality, we're never like sacrificing the character for the bit or for like these jokes or for like these different
100%.
details we want to include. Like and that's
I was thinking about that when you were...
why it works. I feel like
I was thinking about that when you were talking earlier about Kris, where it's like the knowledge, there's a little detail in the end of chapter 2. Again, all
Mm-hmm.
these are like fresh in mind, where like you're in the library and there's a book on how to raise humans that has been checked out a bunch of times by Toriel. And like
Mm-hmm.
Kris, and there's a picture of like other humans, and Kris like doesn't want to look at it. That
Mm-hmm.
could be, you can read into it and all kinds of like Undertale implications and da 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 da, or it can
Yeah.
just be like an adoption metaphor, or like
Right.
the feeling of being like the odd one out in a family. Like all of those work on their own in terms of characterizing
Mm-hmm.
this somewhat silent protagonist, and it's just like at the end of the day, like all of it adds to the characters, even if you don't get every single meta implication.
Yeah. No, totally.
It's all
Yeah.
very,
No,
it's very very well done.
Yeah, it's funny you said that about Susie though, like, cause I had like my younger brother when playing this game said that about Queen to me, and that's also what I thought about Queen is like, and it could be that this is just how I talk to my younger brother specifically is kind of what I was thinking afterwards, but like. I feel like I talk the way that Queen talks, like pretty often when I'm texting people, like just like
Yes, and your humor,
capitalizing
your
every
brand of
word, being
humor.
very I don't know. I connect to that a lot, like just the like Lamau I don't care type of type of humor. I feel like
Mhm.
I don't know. It's good, but I mean I'm very honored to be compared to Susie as well. Love her. Uh uh. g- Yeah, no, I love all the characters. Birdley, what do you think of Birdley?
Birdley, I would say, is the Alfie of this game, where it's like it wore a little thin for me by the end of chapter 2.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah,
Obviously,
he's
some great
definitely not
moments
the
here and
most
there.
loved.
Hated his fight. His fight was probably the fight I got stuck on the most. Something about his tornado
Uh,
attacks like were really hard for me to
yeah.
dodge.
Hmm.
Um, but there's great gags in there, like the big yellow statue, you and the boss hiding, you and Queen hiding from him while
Uh-huh.
Noelle is hiding from her. Like there's great setup and punchlines, and all the Cyber City stuff is like great. But then like Birdley, there's only so many times he can show up and be like, I am so smart and da 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 da. It got a little old.
There are some lines that some of my favorite lines in anything though are Birdley lines where the when he chases down Queen and says like, "My queen, I've baked you a gamer's delight," gets me really bad. Like I
I
feel
could
like
feel it. Anytime
uh,
his sprite like turned into an oval, like it shrank and
mm,
stretched in such a way where it's like you can hear him like guffawing out the word, the whatever the
the
insult
forced
is. I'm like,
laughter.
okay, that's
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
And the just the like the thing about like, oh, I love how you have nipples is like, did you have nipples? He's like, I will in our ideal world.
In our
Like
ideal world.
just I don't know, that stuff gets like capitalizing, making certain things proper nouns like is the way to my heart. Like it just gets me so good. I really like
Well, and Toby Fox is so good at the
Birdley,
rule
yeah.
of three, where it's like the golden
Mm-hmm.
statue's ridiculous, finding it in the toilet's ridiculous, finding
Yeah.
it like Terminator 2ing it into the acid pool is ridiculous. Like it's like when every time you think a joke has died, it shows back up when you've just about forgotten about it, and it's like perfect.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's paced in good ways and like yeah,
Hmm.
I think he does know when to hold back on certain punches, I think, like in terms of not just fully running things into ground. Like if he's bringing a joke back up, it's like gonna be in a way that's like not the exact same thing that's already happened, you know?
Right.
In
And
a
most
way
of the
that
time, if it's a
yeah.
joke you enjoy, you can get more flavor text from it by like going up and interacting with it, interacting with other pieces of the room. Like if you're a big
Mm.
Birdley fan, every time you beat him in the puzzles with like the shape puzzles, you can go around and talk to the room and be like, what does Susie think of this competition? What does Birdley think of this competition?
Mm.
Like, or you can plow right through that because you're sick of Birdley's
Yes.
shit and you're like, I'm just gonna beat him at this puzzle and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a very good point. Yeah, like it's like you can really, when you care about the bit, like you can just dig and like it'll like all the flavor text will be written in ways like it'll be like an easy puzzle or something like that when you click on it. Like it's like
Hmm.
all keyed in a way to like skew towards like enhancing the joke in a way it's good. It's definitely good. I like it.
It's good. Good game is good.
Yeah. What do you think of? We got to talk about Ralsei and Noelle. What do you think of Ralsei?
Ralsei is fine. Of the three, definitely the character I'm the least interested in. He does a good job, I think, setting the scene. I like all the weirdness of, like, is he your brother? Is he not? What's up with that? He's in love with... I messaged you this earlier today. Every character is in love with every character, and especially Susie. Everyone loves Susie.
Everyone loves Susie.
Like, cue the 90s sitcom music. Like, oh my god. Like, Kris and Susie could be a thing. Ralsei and Susie could be a thing. Susie and Noelle is definitely a thing. Susie and Birdley is definitely a thing. Like, good lord, Susie is like a hot ticket item.
Riz Master. And, like, it's, like, crazy, like, how much she parallels me in real life.
Yeah, the chalk-eating monster.
Chalk-eating monster that just somehow gets everyone's attention. It's... The shipping, I think that I like the shipping dynamics in the sense that it's like, it feels like they will spiral on to be like plot significance. Like one thing I like,
yes,
I mean, Ralsei's getting on the wayside now, but like, if we're gonna talk about shipping, but like the Snowgrave route, which is like the weird genocide route that you can like kind of force the game into, like at the end of chapter 2.
Right, you get like this weird abusive relationship between Kris and Noelle, right?
Yeah, and it's like there's a bunch of stuff in that where it's like really like marriage coded. Like it's initiated by like the salesman misunderstands you two as a couple, and you have to like agree like yes we were a couple, and then purchase a ring and then give it to her, and like
right, and that's like a ring of thorns that hurts her, right? Is like a whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's so creepy and weird, but it's like. It seems pretty but then like when you're talking to Susie at the end of the chapter and she asks like who would you want to take to the festival, like Ralsei, Noelle, or me, and or she doesn't put herself in there, but it's like Ralsei, Noelle, or you, and it's like there's clearly some like potential shipping implications to this question or whatever. It seems like Kris
Susie.
And Noelle is like yeah, me too, definitely. You just gotta be nice to Susie, but yeah, it's like it definitely feels like Noelle and Kris is like the dark timeline pairing for whatever reason, it's like, and it feels like it might spiral out in ways where like clearly Susie and Noelle have this like budding romance and that is like front and center, but is the thing gonna kind of subvert it and be like actually Kris and Susie is like going away from what the narrative wants and going towards what Kris wants? Or like
right,
really
and how is this going to get Toby Fox meta-y and like whatnot? There's a really weird quote I read on the Wikipedia page about Toby Fox says that this game's going to have one ending. I don't see how that's possible because the chapters already have multiple endings. Like,
right,
that feels like that's totally, we're getting away from that like immediately. Like this game feels like it's going to have like branches in terms of where the relationships end up and things like that. Like it feels like I'm not going to say that all these random choices you're making in chapter 2 matter, but you can definitely feel things being carried over from 1 into 2, and there are things I'm doing in 2 that feel like they're going to carry over into 3. Like if you do a genocide route in 2, I feel like there's going to be some Birdley stuff in 3 that's pretty significant. And I'm of course going to miss all of this because I played chapter 1 on Mac. And then over the last week, I got my hands on a PS5 on loan from a friend, and I played Chapter 2 on PS5, and I'm getting my Switch 2 next week, and you better believe I'm going to play 3 and 4 on the Switch 2. So, like, I'm going to miss all this. The tank that I made in Chapter 1, I got the, like, generic version in Chapter 2. But that was still a fun callback, and I could tell what it was supposed to be. But, yeah, like... There's a feeling there that like there's gonna be like a core way to get some cool results in 7 that with choices made all the way back in 1. There's gotta be.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like clearly it seems like your choices matter because you can kill Birdley. It's like that. Like evidently that matters, and like also the like you have an interaction with Noelle afterwards, which like. Because Noelle's whole thing is like her relationship to like control and her own agency and independence, and like when she's playing a video game with her dad, like he's like, do you want me to take over and help you? And she's like, no, I got it in like the regular, but like in the like bad route, like if he asks to take it over, she like freaks out. She's like, no, don't touch it, like that kind of thing. It's like evidently these like, yeah, no, it's so sad, it's fucked up, but like, yeah, like evidently these like decisions do have effects on the characters. But I think that like Toby Fox has talked about the conception of this game is basically like occurring from like an actual fever dream that he had about an ending to a video game,
and wanting to work towards that ending.
Yes. So I think like in the same way that like chapter 2, like whether you do the good thing or the bad thing, like Kris still pulls out a knife and like creates the fountain for like the next chapter.
Right.
Like it's the context feels different because like when you play through the regular playthrough, like Susie's just been talking all about like how it's so fun going on these adventures and how she wants to keep going on more adventures. And then you pull out the thing and like create it, you can kind of be like, oh, Kris just wants to go on more adventures. But if you just play through the route where you killed Birdley and like traumatized Noelle, and then Kris opens it again, it's like, hey bud, what's happening? Like it
right.
Despite the ending being the same, like it is now painted and shaded very differently, and like factors outside.
Chapter 7 may end with like all the characters sitting on a cliffside, but you may feel differently about them depending on where things are at, right?
Yeah, because one of the endings, Birdley's just like glassy, like he's been like
right.
What's the
you get
Weeknight
like
at
comatose
Bernie's his
Birdley,
way,
or like
like
Birdley.
Weekend at Birdley's, just like sitting on the cliffside,
Weekend
like glassy
at Birdley's. Oh, Birdley.
Oh.
Yeah, but like, is the genocide route the bad route? Because Birdley dies. Like, you gotta think about these things, right? Like, what is Toby Fox trying to say there?
Yeah. No. So it seems like the one ending, air quotes, is maybe just like visually, like it looks, you're looking at the same thing, but like clearly, like events outside of like literally what you're seeing on screen are gonna be different based on like what kind of decisions you've made, I think. But
where the characters are at,
yeah, at least that's the way I think about it. Like he could just be straight up lying to us, obviously.
Right. Well, it's weird comparing this to our Undertale episode, because it's like there's nothing to ask me. Like no choices I made mattered for the most part. Like of course I didn't go like this super specific hidden genocide route. Like my game ended the same way your game ended. And I'm probably going to replay it, and it's probably going to end the same way unless I look up a guide. But there's so much to unpack in all of this, and like, I felt so intimidated.
Should we talk about like weird routes or?
Sure.
I mean, there's maybe stuff to talk with Ralsei, but that just feels more interesting.
Well, so like I know that like Spamton is obviously like a thing, and I know that you can have him be the alternate final boss for chapter 2. Jevil, I don't know anything about. Except for that he was like the court gesture in the castle. That's like all I know about him.
Yeah. So I mean there's a lot of through lines between the two weird bosses, or the like secret bosses, that like makes it feel like there's going to be one in each chapter that's going to follow this like pattern, but like
they've both been visited by a mysterious stranger, right? And people think that's Gaster. Okay.
Yeah. They've both basically, like through hook or by crook, through this mysterious stranger, had their eyes opened to the fact that they're either the fact that they're in a game, or just the fact that they're in a dark world, and that their world is like fictional compared to like the light world, I guess, within the game. So
they've unlocked the power of meta, essentially.
Yeah, and there's some sort of existential horror in there where they've both kind of gone insane in like different ways, it seems like. Like Jevil is like has all this dialogue about like is in a cage, but it's like, I'm the one that's free and the entire rest of the world is the cage, basically. Like I'm in this free world, and then just jail is just a room.
Right, and he's like
is
puppet coded, and I know Spamton's also puppet coded, but Spamton's like a virus, and like
but he's just like his thing that he said, because both of them have like voice lines or whatever. Like he says like I can do anything, and he's just trying to like play and revel in chaos and have fun. So just kind of like nihilistic and just enjoying fun forever basically seems like the vibe, as opposed to Spampton, who is like seems like is like power seeking and trying to become a big shot and trying to like outgrow and escape the dark world or escape the fact that he's
he
in
feels
a game
very
for some
like
reason.
Tron coded, like I want to escape the computer.
Yes. So like there seem like two different ways of like reacting to the knowledge that you are in a game, like kind of some psychological horror type of stuff. But probably the most fun detail that everyone knows is like basically they're both based off of things that would be discarded or thrown away or ignored. So like Jevil is the Jester card, the Joker card that you would like take out of a deck,
right?
And, like, not use.
Useless in a deck of cards.
Exactly, and then Spamtum is like spam ads, like that your spam emails that you throw away, like. So yeah, that's the theme, which is. I don't know. It's so fun and so interesting. Like just on a thematic level, is very exciting to see where they keep going.
Are we going to be fighting like the infomercial in chapter 3? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of some people.
Like, what's it going to be?
Some people think it's the landline because there's a lot of references to like if you interact with the landline, it's like no one's touched it, and like Toriel is calling the police on her cell phone. But I mean, yeah, like it absolutely could be an infomercial or the old remote, the remote to the DVD player when you have Netflix now. Like, but there's like it's interesting because like even like the secret bosses are like these items that are to be discarded, but like the worlds themselves, like the playing cards and chess set and games and stuff that form the Dark World in Chapter 1 are all in this like abandoned closet. The like computer lab is like the internet is out. The TV is like it hasn't been plugged in for a while. It's like all of the worlds so far are themed around like escapism and like entertainment, but they're also like keep running into this thing of like being left by the wayside and forgotten and like not used anymore in different ways. And then it's like even more forgotten are these like little discardable things. It's I don't know. It's definitely a very
you can
fun
feel
theme.
The gut punch coming in terms of like these dark worlds are being like destroyed as you save the day. And like right now your town is like preserved, but like what if your town is the setting of chapter 7? Like what if you have to like choose to sacrifice? You're saving all of these people, but what if there is no choice? These people are doomed, like the darklings.
Yeah. And I also feel like on a wider narrative level, it's like because I don't know, I've been seeing a lot of like theories of like there's the dark world and the light world. There's like in the game there's like fictional and real world. There's also the real world outside of the game, and then there's also like people are like there's like darker than dark, like a deeper world, which is like the code or whatever, like a even below layer to that. And it's like to an extent like even the light world is the whole game is the dark world to us. Like the whole game is not real to us in the same way that the dark world isn't real to the light world. It's like the game will come to an end, and like there's a lot of talk about like apocalypse occurring or the roaring and the land being consumed in darkness. Is that an inevitable thing that you have to trigger because you're going to beat the game, and then
boot to Windows
linear narrative. It's a linear narrative story, and these characters aren't going to exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like, is that like kind of the darkness that we're contending with potentially? I don't know.
Well, you're making me feel better about the setup for 3 because I was like, do we really need a TV world right after computer world? Like, doesn't seem that different.
Yeah.
But if there continue to be these interesting like elements to it, like that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
That was definitely that's probably the most like jaw-dropping moment for me throughout both chapters. Other than the ending of chapter 1, the initial ending of chapter 1 where you wake up in the empty classroom with all the stuff on the ground, I was like, whoa, what does that mean? Like that was a very
It hits,
very
right?
weird moment, and it hits really hard. And then in chapter 2, seeing like the Ferris wheel, which is this big significant emotional moment, is like the almost covered up poster in the background. It's like, oh, that meant so
Yeah.
much. There was a date.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, and there's like a line about Kris being like, "You might have had a very different day if someone left up the like hang in there cat poster."
Yes.
Like, um, but yeah,
Very
there's also
hysterical
stuff in chapter 3
observation.
about the fact that it's like in your house, like being
Mhm.
that it may be not just TV, but also like the like TV in the sense of like it being a family activity that everyone gathers and does together, and like
Right.
just this family house that's kind of this weird broken home where Azriel, like, your brother has moved out to college, your dad is divorced and moved out, and like Kris and Toriel's relationship is like interesting to say the least. Like, it does
Right.
not seem the most
Well, and
warm.
don't forget, Chariel
Yeah.
is in the room. Will Chariel
Yeah, okay.
be a character?
Chariel theory time. Nobody's talking about Chariel. We got to talk about Chariel.
We gotta talk about Chariel. Why
What
do
do
we
we
talk about Chariel?
What do we think Chariel is gonna be?
I think Cheryl's gonna
How
be
do you think
like a
Chariel will
buddy,
manifest?
not a character that like not a party member, but like an NPC for sure.
Yeah, I really hope Chariel is like a horse that you get to ride, like something. I don't know.
The fact that
definitely
it
should be
follows the
fun.
naming scheme of like Toriel and Chariel is like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. Oh,
What if they're
it's
like
so
the
cool.
competing love interest for Toriel between like Asgore
Yeah.
and Chariel? Because it's Toriel's chair.
It's like it represents
You could do like a
her,
soap
like,
opera
wanting to
thing.
retreat into the home. Yeah. Oh my
Exactly.
god. I love this.
It writes
Yeah, I
itself.
have not seen
TV
enough
parodies
people
are
talk
so
about
fun.
Chariel. Oh god, yeah, no, it should be really good. I'm excited to see where it goes.
I know that two things have been teased for
mm.
it. Like there's been like
Yes.
some kind of gangster theme and some kind of cowboy theme, and like both are like instant winners. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so excited for everything. There's like a screenshot of like a green room looking thing or whatever. You're like,
Yes, I read about
"Ooh,
that.
Perform it." Like, yeah, it's very curious. Some stuff about, because like we just keep bouncing around, but like some Spamton stuff just to like
Sure.
clue you up on the latest details as it pertains to Kris, which is obviously the most interesting thing going on in the game, is like Spamton has this whole like Spamton tries to become powerful but is still a puppet and has these like puppet strings, and then like upon cutting the strings, like thinks that he's gonna get free, and instead just ends on this super depressing dark beat of him just like losing the light in his eyes and like falling to the ground.
Oh no.
And like, yeah, it's really sad, and then it's just playing the slow sad music while he's like tied to a wall and just being like, I couldn't escape, Kris, or whatever. And it's like kind of the feeling of no escape. And then like after that whole thing finishes and you leave, like Kris is having this like kind of panic attack, almost like emotional reaction, and like Susie and Ralsei are like commenting on it, and it's like it's like, and then Spamton keeps calling Kris a heart on a string, and it's like, yeah,
You and I are the same,
puppet
Kris.
master for Kris.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, and it like gets to Kris, and you're just like, oh
man.
I don't know. I think Kris made a deal with the devil. I think Kris chose this life to an extent.
Well, yet
in the sense
I mean, there's
of,
no.
like, yeah.
There's obviously like chapters 1 and 2 ending. Like Kris, when you see Kris in control, they feel very scary and they feel very evil.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
the act of ripping your heart out, and like, why do you have to do it? Why would you have to do it in secret if you're being like manipulated and controlled, right? Like, why could you not do that in front of Susie or in front of Toriel? It is there's a lot going on there. Why is it all very knife themed? Why are your eyes red?
Yeah. There's definitely a feeling of like like I have the sense of like they feel like they can't make good decisions. Like they used to be this troublemaker prankster kid, and they also seem to be like kind of impulsive, and it's like they
and kind of burnouty.
Yeah, and like they maybe are like giving up their soul to a higher power to make better decisions for them, and like as soon as they do, like look, like now they have friends, now they have like this whole adventure in life and everything, and it's like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're looking to us to puppet them in some way, but like Spamton being that like moment of being like, oh man, like actually this is bad. Like I've given up my freedom. This is not good. It's very spicy stuff. I love it. There's also, oh my god. Sorry, I just keep going, but like
No, please, I'm
something I
fascinated by
really
all this.
like. That is like feels like a thematic thing going on with like Ralsei, Susie, and Kris is like seeing
Mm-hmm.
their like eyes. Like Susie has her like hair all in her face. You never see her eyes throughout like chapter 1, and like slowly you start to see them as she gets more expressive. And then like
Mm-hmm.
at least as of chapter 2, she has it like brushed away enough to where you can see her eyes in every shot.
Right.
Um, and then
Ralsei
Ralsei
like
starts in a
reveals
hood.
his look at the end of
Yeah,
chapter 1.
yeah, takes off his hat, like is progressively like, you know, showing more of himself or whatever by the end. So by the end of chapter 1, like Susie and Ralsei are showing their eyes, and then but Kris the whole time just has the dark shaded depressed thing over their
Right.
face, right? Like so much to the point you get used to it. And the moment you see Kris' eye is when it flashes red, when they like do the whole knife thing and pull out the heart, and it's all scary or whatever.
Oh, I didn't even
And
think
it's
about
like,
that you've never seen their eyes except for in
yeah,
those moments.
no, absolutely. And it's like we're getting to know, like there's an overall theme through all the characters of like as we get to know more of them, they become less scary, they become less of like the stereotype that we think they are, like they
Mm-hmm.
um open themselves up.
Like
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 as
Ralsei's
all
becoming
these
more
characters are
confident,
like,
right? Like
yes.
his little butler arc,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
very
yeah.
cute in chapter 2, and then yeah, obviously Susie becoming more friendly.
Mhm.
Because Susie's the one to initiate a lot of the friendship stuff in chapter 2, like
Yeah.
in terms of like forgiving or like putting up with Birdley, accepting Noelle to the team without having to be like prompted.
Mhm.
A lot of character growth
Yeah,
there, but
no,
like where does Susie go from there?
definitely.
Taking
And
up
yeah,
high with
same for
Toriel.
like yeah, same for like even Birdley and Noelle, like just opening up. Noelle learning to stand up for herself. Birdley,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being a little bit more honest about his
Teen
insecurity, I
Dumb.
guess. And then
Yeah.
like yeah, and then but like the whole time it's like Kris is kind of like just skating through these interactions. But you get to the end and like it's like we don't know the real Kris, and like so far what
Mm-hmm.
Kris is showing of themselves is like a lot darker than like
It's
seemingly
a
what the
creepy
other people
pasta.
have going on.
Right.
Yeah, and you're just like, you know, it seems like that is just going to be so important going forward. Good stuff.
I think when we were
I love it.
playing on our Undertale
Mm.
episode, I referred to it as like
Yes.
playing Lavender Town Creepypasta, the game. Deltarune
Yeah.
is like that times 1,000. Like around every
Mm.
corner is a line or a joke or a gag or a weird art piece of art that could be something or could be nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
every music track is like vaguely horrific at times, even though sometimes it's funky and exciting. It's usually got a tint of ambiguity to it. And yeah, so far it's like very, very, very
Mm.
impressive as a piece of art. And I'm excited to be at the ground
Yes.
floor of it now instead of like, oh yeah, that game came out 10 years ago.
Yeah, no, definitely. It'll I'm curious. I feel like we haven't gotten a lot of official statements. When chapter 1 came out, it was like slated to have 5 chapters, and then when chapter
Mm
2 came out, it got upgraded to 7.
hmm. Mm hmm.
I really hope it's like the main story is 5 and then 6 and 7 are like bonus chapters, because I just gotta know like where this is going. Like the impatience, but I
Well,
mean I'm
theoretically,
definitely
it's about
gonna
to double
enjoy
in
all of them.
size, which is exciting.
Yes. Yeah, and we'll also like, even if it's 7 chapters one, we'll be like more than halfway through this.
Right.
Obviously chapter length notwithstanding, but um, yeah, I don't know. It's just Oof, very, very, very juicy thing. A lot to get excited about. So I'm glad you.
As someone who's
glad I could key you in on it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm super into it now. Like, it's great. I got the curse
Yeah.
now. As soon as chapter 4 ends, I'm gonna be like, "Where's chapter 5? 4 years out."
You have to forward this
Fuck.
to 20 people in order to get.
As someone who's been following this series since the beginning, basically, right? Like, I assume you'd already played Undertale when Deltarune chapter 1 came out.
Yes.
What is the biggest question that you want answered?
The biggest question that I want answered. Wow. That's tough. Honestly, I think I do want to know more about Ralsei and what he is, just because he represents like so much interesting stuff to me in terms of like my theory right now, which is, again, like, these theories are not, I'm not necessarily the person cooking all of these up, but
The
like the one
theory
that
that
I'm
you're
more sympathetic to now,
invested in, sure.
yeah, is like, I like the idea of Ralsei as Kris's OC. There's a line that like Toriel says in chapter 1 that's like very telling about Kris and Toriel's relationship of like she gave Kris like a pair of like red horns, like a headband to wear when Kris asked like, when are my horns gonna grow in, which is very, do you remember that movie Boy and the Beast?
The Mamoru Hosoda movie?
Yeah, Mamoru Hosoda, yeah.
Yeah, it's sitting behind me.
Yeah, it's very coded in like the kid in that movie who like is the adopted kid who like gets given a mask and told like that like he's gonna grow up and become a boar just like his brother or whatever, and ends up like having so much darkness going on or whatever. I feel like there's a huge parallel there between like that character and Kris, like the villain of that movie.
Right.
And it's
so like is the idea that Ralsei
yeah.
is like what Kris wants to be, which is A, more like their brother, and then B, a monster?
Yeah, more like their brother in terms of being like nice and self-sacrificing and giving and all of this stuff, and yeah, also just like actually changing to be a monster.
And a prince.
It's like
the Dark Prince.
and
it's very like OC-ish. Yeah, I get what you're
prince.
saying.
Yeah, and I also read it in a way of like, because there's this whole thing of teas where there's like these certain teas you can buy of like, you can buy Kris tea, Noelle tea,
yes.
Susie tea, Ralsei tea.
Kris tea helped me a ton in the Queen fight, let me tell you.
And it's like, depending on which tea you give to which person, it will like heal them for more. Like Ralsei will get healed more by Kris tea because Ralsei loves Kris. Noelle will get healed more by like Susie tea because she loves Susie. Kris like
cool.
does not get a whole lot of healing from Ralsei, and you're kind of like, oh, like everyone gets a ton from Susie, definitely.
That's cute.
But
Kris got a varying amount from Kris, which was interesting to me.
Definitely, yeah. How much do you love yourself? It's like, but yeah, I think that like, my take is like, I feel like Ralsei is Kris's OC, but also like Kris thinks that he's cringe in some way.
Right.
Of like, I feel like Kris has maybe given up like trying to be like their brother and trying to fit into society. But
it's like,
also,
how would you
like,
view
on
your
some
imaginary
level
friend
that.
as like a teenager? Like,
yes. Yes. That's exactly how I feel about Ralsei. And I feel like learning more about Ralsei's creation, conception, what Ralsei knows and doesn't know, because Ralsei like seemingly has a lot of knowledge but is also very naive to a lot of things. And it's like,
right, he's the one who gives you the prophecy. He's the one who is like already existing in the dark world, but like you don't see his room, there's a bunch of locked doors in like the main hub area. Like, what does it all mean?
And like, to what extent like Kris coordinated everything like before the story began. Like, I'm not, it's hard to say who the knight is, whether Kris is the knight or not, but like I do like the interpretation that Kris like planned a lot of what happens in the story before it happened.
Right. Showing up late and all that.
Yeah, it's like, did Kris plan to bring Susie in? Because Susie's part of the prophecy. Like, Ralsei brings them both in. but also like when you play through chapter 1, it seems kind of random that the two of them ended up in the supply closet. Like
Random and also
you're
not though, because like
yeah.
Kris would know that Susie would be the last to be picked. So like
Mm.
by sleeping in, which is like the first thing that happens, could that be Kris orchestrating showing up to school late and being stuck, like being paired with Susie?
And could also the chalk. I have theorized that Kris. I think Susie definitely ate chalk. That's not a theory, but
Right.
did the chalk
Could
going
Kris have
missing
known
on
about
that
the chalk
day? Did Kris
addiction?
hide the
Yeah.
chalk, knowing that Susie would be the suspect?
A lot to think
Are we
about.
cracking this wide open?
Maybe. Like an egg.
Um,
Like a Timmy egg. By the way, that was my favorite joke in the entire game. It's like really early, but it's so fucking funny. The hard-boiled egg emits a feeling of pity towards you is just incredible. I'm looking at my screenshot of it right now. It's like the egg on Timmy's desk.
oh,
Incredible.
God.
That felt like more of
Egg
an
with
Undertale
1G,
joke.
egg will hatch.
Yes.
Love it.
Finding
Love
Timmy
that-
in chapter
love that-
2, like studying for college, like Timmy going to go to college, Timmy smart.
Yeah, I also love that, like, continuing to be a just like thorough roast of the like
Of the artist of the game.
sole artist conjure. Like, I think they have a team now, but like it's basically like two people making this game together, and like the Timmy character is just mercilessly being like, yeah, you're a little internet nerd, aren't you? Just like,
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, like the choice,
So good.
Toby Fox representing himself in a character literally named Annoying, like the annoying dog, is
Yeah.
so great.
Yes.
And every time it shows up, I'm like, annoying dog, yeah. And then yeah, Timmy being this weird internet dog creature is just incredible.
Yeah.
I think I said this also in the Undertale episode, but it reminds me so much of mangaka will usually have like a little like symbol character represent them. Like Oda, who makes One Piece, is just like a dude in a t-shirt with a fish head. And like the guy who made Horiyoshi, I think is his name, who made My Hero Academia, is just like one of the hands from the villain that's got like the hand face mask. It's like just one of the hands with like a frowny face on it. Like all these little cute, weird, idiosyncratic interpretations of like what is this mangaka's personality, because by and large they're not known as themselves. They're only known through like Shonen Jump author notes, and so like what they choose to use as the symbol is like fascinating. Like we were talking about with the Beastars episode as well, with the chicken character.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, no, it is very fun to see.
Toby Fox
some
being
people
the annoying
have-
dog is like really endearing to me.
Yeah, some people have also said. I heard someone say that Toby Fox was probably like Papyrus as a kid, and I'm like, I can kind of see that. Like the younger brother who's just kind of going on and is like really corny with his jokes and really
If Toby Fox
too much
does
energy.
not have a brother, it would be like shocking to me.
I think he has like 3 older brothers.
Whether
He has
he's
a-
the
he
older
has more than
brother
one
or
older
he has a
brother.
younger brother, yeah,
Yeah.
it would be shocking to me.
Yeah, big like youngest sibling energy. Love it so much. But how much did we love it? It's time for the rates. It's time to rate it. Unless there's any other points you want to touch on.
No, I just was gonna say that like the mystery that I want to know about the most is Kris for sure, like 100%.
Yes.
But that's almost like saying I want to know the end of the game. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think that's why I also hesitate on saying that. But I mean, you're right. Like that is the most interesting thing. Is like what is Chris's deal?
I
What
want to
is
know
the
if there's
story
a
of this
payoff
game?
for the Flowey references, because they're all really creepy, and every time it comes up, I'm like, oh my god, because like Asgore has all the flowers in the containers, and I think it lines up with the
Yeah.
hearts in Undertale, or very similar.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's and there's again like there's some references to flowers being good people to talk to, like Asgore talks about like working on his pickup lines for Toriel with the flowers, and him and Sans have this weird conversation where clearly Sans knows like what Flowey is, and it's like it's all that. I want to know if that's a payoff or that's always going to be like an Easter egg.
Yeah, it's hard to say like how much of it is like we're paralleling Undertale events, but on a just like regular. Like I read that as like because it's like Toriel is like making jokes with Sans, and there's a certain like there's
It's very
definitely
much a
like
wink.
shipping community between Sans and Toriel.
Oh, okay.
I like to read that interaction as like not it doesn't have to be romantic, but like almost like she's flirting with like the new guy, and then like Asgore barges in and is like your ex-husband, and
Right.
like Sans literally turns away and doesn't look at the reaction. I can only imagine him just like cringing, basically,
Right.
or a bit like the new guy just like looking like deadpan stare, like while this awkward interaction happens. I love that stuff.
Well, in general, like
there's
the
also
game
yeah.
reinterpreting these characters after years of Undertale being reinterpreted by like the fandom. Like it's fascinating that like
Right.
Toby Fox takes his own crack at it. Like, oh, what if Undyne was like
Yeah.
the traffic cop? How funny would that be? Like it's very entertaining.
And they were originally going to be humans, like the whole above world. Like it was
That's
because
weird.
of Undertale and because of its success. Like he was like, okay, we'll make it monsters,
Oh, weird.
and fit everything like that. But yeah, no, like these were going to be the human characters, but I feel like they're much richer for the crossover that they have.
No, it's a lot easier to
the
make weird
previous
little
game.
guys when they're all like traffic cones with with googly eyes or whatever.
Definitely. I was also just on the flower thing. There's this like Beauty and the Beast reference basically where Asgore and Sans are talking about it, and he's talking about like keeping flowers in glass, and Sans is like that movie. He's like, yeah, like that movie, which I take as like just Asgore like not being able to like move on from like the relation, like like the Beast being like trapped in the past type of thing, but like also like and like him trapping the rose is also like how he's trapping Belle in the castle in that story, like
Right.
and just Asgore exuberantly being like, yep, just like the movie, and it's like the zero insight. Like love it. It's good.
It's all surface
He's
level with
endearing
him,
in how
yeah.
oblivious he is, I feel like.
Yeah, but it's so funny to see like that as where he's so important in Undertale.
Right. Yeah.
And now he's like
versus
he's like what's Steven Universe's dad's name?
Oh, Greg Universe.
He's
Yeah,
so
Greg
Universe
sad.
coded.
That's true. Yeah, Greg Universe, but his actually his wife left him.
Right.
Oh,
As opposed to became a
yeah.
rock and then your son. Or was a rock and then became your son.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
as you set up for me, ranking. I
Mm.
already said that I like it more than Undertale.
Mm.
I think I like it a lot more than Undertale. Yeah, that's I got a bit of a decision to make here. It's really good,
Mm.
but is it so good? Is it so unbelievably good that it almost doesn't make sense?
Does it make sense how good this
Does it
is?
make sense
The question
how
on
good it is?
everyone's
Yeah.
minds.
It's an A, I think. I think it's an A.
I've changed my for viewers at home. I've changed my glasses to say "bro" with a question mark.
Not Lamau.
Just
It's an A.
confusing.
Listen, S tier
Yes.
is like top 10 pieces of media for Sam ever. Like S tier is really up there in my mind. I have given like the 10s on my anime list I have given are few and far between. Is how I think about it. And so like am I really going to put Deltarune chapter 1 and 2 in S tier and Stop Making Sense tier?
Right.
I don't know. Well, Toby Fox could surprise me. We'll see what chapters 3 and 4 have in store. I know we're gonna get to that pretty soon. Wink, wink. Gotta save up my $25. Gotta sell some more Lego minifigs, so I can buy me Undertale chapters 3 and 4.
I understand your decision.
but
I
you were
feel like you should
disappointed.
school me. Like, how do I get into the S tier? What do I gotta do? Because I feel like
Well-
now we're at the point where we're trying to climb. You know?
I have to irrationally like it. Like, I have to like it so much that even its flaws I like. Does that make sense to you? That's how I
see.
feel about Stop Making Sense. It doesn't make sense that it's one of my favorite movies of all time, but it is. Like, it makes no sense. It's a band I don't even like. I do like it now, but it's a band I'd never heard of. So, pretty tough nut to crack, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm treating that as we'll go years without anything hitting that tier, I think. But this got pretty
I
close.
gotta get Porco Rosso down. I gotta
You do.
clear out my.
Mallory, you can
gotta-
pitch me Princess Mononoke. It's going in S tier. Like, you can just look at the videos I made and you can hazard a guess.
That's fair. But
But,
I wouldn't feel like I earned it because
you wouldn't have.
yeah.
You got to find me a new one. It'll come.
Well,
It'll happen.
yeah.
We've
well-
covered multiple things on this podcast that I have pitched that I would put in that tier, not just Stop Making Sense.
Right.
So
I got to pitch more things
could happen.
similar to what you've been pitching.
no, that'd be really lame if you did that. We'll find it.
That's
It'll happen.
Yeah. All right, Sam. What are we getting into this time?
Well, I'm going to pitch you a movie, right?
Okay.
For mainly for practical reasons. You were kind enough to give me a few extra days to play Deltarune, so we're going to be recording somewhat soon in the next few days for our next episode. So I wanted to get something out of the way that's like shorter, and also it's fun to like vary up in length. We've been doing a lot of TV shows. We've been doing a video game.
Right.
So in that conversation, I changed my mind about what I was going to pitch you. Mallory,
Okay.
you've already seen this, I think. I'm pretty sure you've already seen this. But I want to revisit it. It's a movie I like quite a bit. Definitely a movie with some flaws. It's not Beauty and the Beast, but it's very similar. I think we should revisit Belle by Mamoru Hosoda.
Ah, okay.
Which you have seen, right? I think you watched it at least once.
Yes, I did. Yes. Yes, I'm remembering it now. Yeah.
So his new movie just got announced. Shocker. It looks really similar to his last movie. The man makes the same movie over and over again.
Yeah.
Which I weirdly find endearing, even though I could find it like driving people crazy. And so
Right.
I'm kind of in the mood to revisit Belle. So how about we do that?
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I think like we didn't get enough like sexy wolves like last week with Beastars, so I think we're
continuing our furry arc. We're continuing our Beauty and the
Yeah.
Beast arc. We're continuing.
I feel
the
like
anime
Belle
arc.
definitely awakened some. I was in the right place when I was watching it, where I was like, yeah, like I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm regretting this choice already. No, cut the feed. Cut the strings. There are no strings on me.
I remember also, I think that was one of the first movies I watched when I was like teaching in Japan. It was like every time we wanted to talk about it, it was like really hard to, because the title, I always forget it. It's Sobakasu, which is like freckles, something.
The freckled princess or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Princess, something like that. I always forget the words, but yeah.
Well, you can tell me all about it next week, because I don't know.
Yes.
Until that time.
Hold on one second. Have a good day, Sam.
Have a good evening, Mallory.